In 5th century Wales, there was a king by the name of Anun the, Antonius the Black.
You can find him on the Wikipedia page, the list of rulers in Wales.
According to his paragraph, he ruled over 3 disconnected kingdoms in southern Wales, Gwent, Dyfed and Brycheiniog.
Not only that, but he was claimed to be king of the Greeks, right smack in the middle of the lineage of Roman emperors, and had ties to Cleopatra.
Oh, and just one more thing. He never actually existed. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Mad Dogs of Cambria. I'm Cambrian Chronicles, the self-proclaimed #1 Welsh history YouTube channel, and I'm joined here by Pat from the illustrious podcast Never Is Funny, winner of the coveted Cambrian Chronicles Best Podcast Award.
Illustrious. I don't know what that means, but it doesn't feel like the right word.
It is the right word.
It feels complimentary, so I'll take it. I'm illustrious as hell. But yeah, hello. It's me.
As you heard in the intro, we're both here to talk to you about something very strange. Wikipedia's king who doesn't exist.
That's right, Cam. That sounds so... I feel like we're about to do local radio.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to be like, that's right, Cam. But first, coming up, it's Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. So I feel like we should give it a little bit of context for who this is, what we're talking about. Wikipedia's king who doesn't exist. What is the page this is on, and how did you come across it?
It was on the page, the list of rulers in Wales. In the video I did, I called it the list of rulers of Wales.
What's your problem?
It's probably the favourite video I've ever made.
I really like this one.
But what would be now, about almost possibly 2 years ago, I did my video on the Prince of Wales, and this page was linked on that article.
Yeah.
And I went on there and I noticed something very, very weird. I just done this 40-minute video on the Kingdom of Dyfed, which is another place in South Wales. And then I scrolled down to the Dyfed section, and at the very, very top was a guy who, as far as I'd ever seen in any of the pedigrees, was never mentioned.
Right.
He's not on any of the royal lists.
How did you spot it out of that? Like,
I'd read so much about Dyfed, I knew the...
Just out of the huge list, you just saw it.
I knew he wasn't in there.
That's incredibly impressive. How long have you been there? I think you told me before it was like, 5 years?
He was added there in 2019.
Crazy.
He was moved the same day I made the video, so
he'd
been there for a little over 5 years.
But also, this goes back a lot longer than that, right?
The guy who added him in seems to have conflated several other figures.
Right.
But he wasn't the synthesis for everything. This is based off of medieval manuscripts, these forged genealogies, and then a hoax from the 1800s, and then a hoax from 2019, combined into one guy.
So you come across this thing, it sticks out to you.
Yeah, like I said, I'd never seen the name before, and he wasn't just like a name, he had this whole long description, the longest of anyone else in the whole article. Did I read it?
Oh, you have the description?
I'm looking at it right now.
Fantastic.
So, underneath Dyfed, it said this: Anun the, brackets, Welsh rendering of Antonius the Black. That part's correct.
Okay.
According to Welsh legend, born in Greece and later appointed to the rule of Demetia by Magnus Maximus.
What's Demetia?
It's the Latin name for Dyfed.
Okay.
Also known as Anun Donod, rendering of Antonius Donatus. Realm included Gwent and Brycheiniog.
Okay.
Now, to a lot of people, most of that's going to make absolutely no sense.
Okay, why don't we break some of this down a bit first? Gwent, Brycheiniog, Dyfed, whereabouts are we talking in Wales?
All in southern Wales.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a picture on the screen.
I always think it looks like a guy, the map.
Yeah, and the top looks like a man with a hat, like, pointing down.
If you're just listening to this, you'll have to get your phone and Google it now and do it. I'm telling you to.
It's very important, especially if you're driving.
Yeah, exactly, especially if you're driving.
Don't actually.
It's okay. If you don't drive, pull over onto a shoulder on the highway. Is what they're there for.
Yeah.
And Google Welsh map, but it looks like a guy with a big cloak pointing.
Yes. Some people say it looks like a pig's head.
Oh.
I've never...
It's quite Lord of the Flies. It's quite unsettling.
Pigs don't have a giant, like, caved-in skull.
That's horrifying. Okay, so pig's head, guy with cloak. Whereabouts?
Towards the southwest is Dyfed. If you live in Wales, the area is still called Dyfed today. Pembrokeshire, Carmarthenshire.
Right.
Brycheiniog, in English, is called Brecon.
As in Brecon Beacons?
Yeah, but it's not a county anymore. It's sort of a little bit above. Yeah, if you've heard of the Brecon Beacons, it's north of there. Okay. And then Gwent, famous card game from The Witcher, that's where the name comes from.
Yeah, from Witcher 3.
It's on the border of Wales, the southeast.
Okay.
They're quite disconnected. Gwent and Brycheiniog are just about close. Dyfed is all the way to the left.
So we're generally talking South Wales. Is it 4th century vaguely? He's supposed to be around?
They've placed him 3 generations before a guy called Tryphon Varvog, who would have been very early 400s.
Okay, right. So vaguely around 4th century, South Wales, that's when this fella would have been hanging around, according to this article so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, you've started to track it down. You found the weird thing. You followed the weird thing down a little rabbit hole. You little Alice in Wonderland, you. And you've come across this description. So I know the answer to this because I've got it written down. But for dramatic effect, where is he mentioned in history? What are the primary sources? What citations are we talking about here?
There's none. There's literally nothing.
Dun, dun, dun.
At the top of the page, it used to say needs additional citations for verification.
Yeah.
Which, was true.
Yeah. Okay, so you couldn't find it anywhere.
No. The books couldn't find anything. Peter Bartram, who has the whole encyclopedia of this era, nothing under Anon the. He wasn't in any of the primary sources, any of the King's lists that I could see. Actually, at the time, I'd left it for 6 months, 7 months.
To be fair, at this point, you hadn't found much of like an exciting trail. It was just an eccentricity. I assume at this point you weren't even necessarily thinking, this is fake. It was just, this is weird.
Yeah. And also because you'd find a lot of stuff, even just slight things.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go into like a king's list and it has a bunch of offspring, it's so common for them to just not exist.
Right.
A comment mentioned apparently on like genealogist forums, you can trace your ancestors. Those are like public edited too.
Right.
They've seen like people just add people in and like fabricate connections.
Bizarre.
Which I'm pretty certain there's a bunch of them made it onto Wikipedia because they'll be on like this website and they'll be like, oh, this is valid.
Is this like an intentional thing?
I'm really not sure. There'll be people, he mentioned someone connecting themselves to like Moses or something like that. Which at that point, like, okay. All right. Also, is that allowed?
I have no idea. I don't think we have the crowd to wade into like historical accuracy of Moses or something.
To be fair, I find the historical mentions in the Bible super, super interesting.
That is interesting.
Not qualified at all to talk about it.
No, me neither, definitely.
If anyone's listening, go read about it. Super, super interesting.
Okay, so at this point, the trailer's gone cold, or rather you've gotten like bored and forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So 6 months passed. What was it that called you about it that was like you wanted to dig into it more?
At the time when I saw him, during my Prince of Wales video I made, I hadn't gotten into a few like the mysteries that come with history. That would come a bit later, and they was my most popular videos ever. So I kind of had a different mindset. I was thinking, oh, it's not just like a guy who was added in for no reason.
Yeah.
And ultimately doesn't really matter at all. But it is still interesting to have a whole guy just edited in for years and no one have any idea, no one noticed.
It is bizarre. I mean, is it possible there's other ones on that article that just...
Oh, definitely. I would put money on there being someone on the old article. The article's been improved massively now, but I would earnestly put money that there's someone else on that page, just some sort of little name.
Future episode coming up.
Yeah.
If we ever start running dry of episode ideas, that we can just go on the article ourselves and make one up and be like, no way, 1 day ago added to this article.
That is crazy. Who would do this?
So this is one of my favorite parts of the video, which is when you make a little decision, couldn't find it in any sources, and so you decided to do what?
Well, I checked the references on the page.
Yeah.
Not in any of them. So I decided ultimately, because a few names on this page were spelt very weirdly, like here above Gwent, there was a guy called Eugenius.
Thank you.
Eugenius, son of Magnus Maximus, Marius, son of Eugenius. I'm pretty sure that's Owain at Max then.
Okay.
Which in that case is his Latin name.
Yeah.
Which made me think like, oh, what's the bet that I can't find Anon the anywhere because he's not spelt correctly?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't confident that even like the first 2 letters were legitimate. I just opened the Welsh Classical Dictionary by Peter Bartram, started at A, and just went through every single name.
Right, okay.
Until I could hopefully find someone.
Yeah, that lined up.
Yeah, and on page 20, I found Anon, Annun, so it was spelt wrong, missing an N, and that's where I found him there.
Anon the. Oh, and we haven't mentioned... Anon the is Sanon the Black. So Anon's like just the name.
Yeah, it's the Welsh version of Antonia.
Okay, so Tony. Tony the, and the meaning the Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what does it Bartram say about him?
Bartram mentions a guy called Anon the as an ancestor to the kings of Brycheiniog, which was, if you remember the Wikipedia description, that was one of the kingdoms he supposedly ruled.
Yeah.
But what was really weird about him is that in these genealogies of the kings of Brycheiniog, Bartram says that his name was Anon Rex Grecorum and Anon Regis Grecorum.
Yeah.
Which means Anon the king of the Greeks.
Yeah.
Which was very strange.
That is very strange.
We had Gwent, Dyfed, Brycheiniog, and Greece.
Greece, yeah.
We were talking about disconnected ones.
Yeah, that is wild.
That sounds like a Crusader Kings campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. But it still says Gwent and Brycheiniog and Dyfed in Bartram's description as well?
No. The Wikipedia article says Gwent and Dyfed.
Okay, right.
Bartram only mentions a guy who was an ancestor to the kings of Brycheiniog, supposedly also king of the Greeks.
Meaning that this Wikipedia guy didn't get him from Bartram necessarily?
Yes, or at least part of it was. Because he mentions that according to Welsh legend, he was born in Greece.
Okay.
That's not what the description actually says. It says he was king of the Greeks.
So it's supposed he just interpreted it that way?
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For some reason.
So, recap. We've found the Wikipedia page, followed it to Bartram via the typo in the name.
Yes.
Says he's king of the Greeks. Where do you go from here?
My next port of call was...
That's a good phrase. I like that.
My next port of call was the second paragraph, the Anon the king of Gwent.
Okay. Second, wait, so there's another, it's not same description of the same guy, it's a different guy, same
which
name.
I didn't actually notice when I did the video.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really pick up on how they were actually quite different.
Yeah.
They say the same basic thing, but the Dyfed one's more descriptive, and it's the one I spotted first, so
yeah,
it worked out well.
Yeah.
The 26th of June, 2019, Anon ap Maxen Uledig just sort of gets added into the Wikipedia article.
Okay.
So this one's been around for longer, actually, in hindsight.
Right, okay.
7 years this one's been around for.
Yeah.
The Dyfed one was about 5 years.
Okay.
What I saw was Anon ap Maxen Uledig, and Maxen Uledig is the Welsh version of Magnus Maximus, a Roman emperor who
Yeah, I have heard of him.
He's quite famous, yeah.
Exactly, he's famous. That's how I've heard of him. What time period is he?
Magnus Maximus died in around the 380s. Which
is the same time period, right?
Yeah.
The 4th century.
Yeah, in a way it is, which is weird because he's supposed to be like his son or like appointed by him. The different descriptions claim different things.
Yes, I've gotten written down. So I made a couple of notes on your YouTube video. And yeah, you mentioned 2017 article, Anon, son of Magnus Maximus. Then 2 years later, it's changed that he's appointed by him. I mean, it could be both. I mean,
it technically could be both, yeah, but it's not saying, oh, he was his son who was appointed by. It's just like he is a guy who was appointed by. So not impossible. It was supposed to be both, but if it is, they don't mention it.
Okay, so what's next?
So I went back to Bartram, and now knowing that Anon is supposed to be spelled with an N and a U, I found Anon ap Maxen Uledig.
Right.
And according to Bartram, he appears in a single genealogy as Anthon.
Okay.
So again, names are getting a bit... But he was supposedly an ancestor to the Brythonic kings on the Isle of Man.
Right.
Which has nothing to do with Dyfed or Gwent.
No. Yeah, okay.
So I'm not really sure how that happened. But because I knew already from doing the Dyfed video that there was a theory that his son was appointed as a protector of the region of Dyfed, and that the genealogies because of this gave him the nickname Dyfed.
Yeah.
So there's a guy in their royal lineage supposedly named Dyfed as an ancestor.
Yeah.
Alongside there's a bunch of people named after Roman titles, and my personal favorites ever, one guy called Cupbearer and Mixer.
I love that one. It's a lame title.
Yeah. Also, it's formatted just as one person.
Cupbearer and Mixer.
Well, it says a lot. It feels like almost... That's not a very high... I mean, Cupbearer maybe, but...
like a Weatherspoon's job title.
Yeah. I feel like a Weatherspoon's job title is higher than just Mixer.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they don't really know. It's just a Latin title the author knew of. I'm not really sure what it was.
Right, okay.
Because the other ones, they have like Protectorus and Stator are like proper titles.
Yeah.
And then it's just like...
Cupbearer
and Mixer, one guy.
Yeah. That is bizarre.
So yeah, Bartram and Wade Evans both suggested that this Dyfed ap Maxen was a nickname for Anthon ap Maxen.
Okay.
Which is a bit confusing. So we have Anon from Brycheiniog, claimed as an ancestor there, and then an Anthon, a son of a Roman emperor, supposedly a protector in Dyfed.
Okay, and these are two different guys.
Yeah, two different people, don't even have the same spelling of the name.
Yeah, okay.
They're the first two same letters.
Yes.
But that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're about as similar as Anthony Hopkins is to the other one.
Well, wait till we get to the Hannibal section of the story. That's when it gets wild. So basically, the author of the wiki post that you originally found that started all of this shenanigans thinks that this guy nicknamed Dyfed is really Anthon, and then conflates him with the entirely different Anon the Tony.
Yes. Again, I couldn't find him mentioned anywhere else. He just sort of combines the two.
Yes. Okay, so we've hit a neat little hitch point there. I think that's the word, hitch point. I don't know, I'm going to use it. A port of call. I like that one. So we're going to take a little break, and then we will be back shortly to continue the second half of the story. What are we going to talk about, Cam Man?
The last half was me trying to figure out where he got the king of Brycheiniog from.
Yeah.
Where he got the king of Dyfed from, even though it wasn't accurate or correct.
Yeah.
Even just where it came from. Gwent was a massive struggle.
Right. Yeah, that's coming out. I mean, I'm looking at the notes for it. As I said, I made some notes on your video, And so far I've been able to follow my own notes, but this part is where I have no idea what I'm looking at. There's a lot of names here, a lot of genealogies.
There's a lot of names.
The phrase infamous forger. This is where it starts to get greasy.
You don't have to know any of them. They just will appear.
Yeah.
Which is always a struggle with my videos. I've added in a few times now in my videos, like, you don't have to remember any of these.
Yeah.
But I can't just be like, oh, these people appeared.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll keep track.
It's not daycare at the zoo.
What do you think you are, baby? Goo goo gaga.
This is real hours.
It's a podcast, not a pacifier cast.
I'm throwing 20 names at you, and at the end of going, you need to remember these.
But yeah, okay. So we've got Original Tony, and we've got Magnus Maximus.
Original Tony sounds like a pizza place.
We got Original Tony, and we've got Magnus Maximus's little mistress. So
Mistress?
Oh yeah.
What was his son?
So I was being facetious, but I think I played it too deliberately.
I was confused.
But yes. So we will be back shortly. Stick around. Stay sticky.
Stay sticky.
Welcome back after that little break. I mean, because we're just starting this out, I don't know exactly what we're going to have there, if you would have heard ads, or if you will have heard nothing.
Audio of me screaming.
Oh, that's a good one. We can put that in. We might be able to just play that as a sponsorship ad for something.
Sponsored by...
I mean, to be fair, that's what's starting to happen in my brain following some of this. So, we've got the two guys. What happens next from two guys?
So from here, I tried to find why he was called the King of Gwent, and it was so difficult that the original draft of my video ended there. I was just going to be like, as for why he's called the King of Gwent, I have no idea. He's just, honestly, I feel like at this point, the article author just was like, yeah, might as well.
Just adding stuff in. Yeah, okay.
Which I never like to presume. I think I had a couple of comments being like, oh, why did you assume this? Why didn't you just like remove, or like, why did you assume it was anything?
Yeah.
I never like to just imagine someone just made it up for no reason.
Yeah.
The reason's always the most interesting part.
Exactly. It doesn't feel very fulfilling either.
No, it's just like, oh, this part's made up.
Yeah.
Back to the zoo with me, I don't know.
Is this daycare at the zoo?
So yeah, the original video just ended there. I just had no idea. But I managed to finally crack where it came from.
Yeah.
The research of this took like a week. The David and Brecheniok thing I did over multiple like late nights. And like the remaining like 4 to 5 days were just trying to find where the Gwent bit came from.
God.
It took such a long time, but I finally cracked it.
Yeah.
So, shall I just continue on?
Yeah, by all means.
So on the Wikipedia page, on these Kings of Gwent, I saw a guy called Ednaved.
Ednaved, okay.
And he was in that David genealogy that I had memorized after reading about it for so long.
Yeah, of course. We've all been there.
We've all been there. Why did you forget my son in the back of the car? I was too busy thinking about the Kings of David. So I knew him. But then I saw that his dad... I saw that the opposite of his dad, his son... I think you should keep that.
Yeah. Lightning history work.
His supposed son, a man named Dovenwall, was there. He was not in the David genealogy.
Okay. Wait, who was not? Okay. List of Kings of Gwent. Ednaved.
Ednaved was listed as a King of Gwent.
Yeah.
He's not actually in there. He was from the Kings of David.
Yes.
And then we had a guy called Dovenwall, who was not in either that I knew of.
Okay. Where do you find Dovenwall?
I went back to Bartram again for this one.
At this point, there's no necessary connection to Anand the, right?
No, I just found Ednaved and Dovenwall, and I figured this guy who's not in either of these genealogies, is this where he's attached?
Yes.
And no, he's a guy from Ystrad Clwyd, or Strathclyde in English, which is the modern day like southwestern Scotland.
Okay.
And he was attached to Magnus Maximus and his son at a much later date.
Right.
But the page made him a father of the Kings of Gwent, a guy called Anir.
Okay.
He's a very old King of Gwent, possibly one of the very first actual sort of historically sound, in quotes, that basically, which at this period is code for doesn't have a reason to not believe he existed.
Right, yeah. Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, which even then with Anya, that's not actually very certain, but...
Okay, so Ednaved has son
Dovenwall.
Ednaved has son Dovenwall.
Yes.
And Dovenwall has son Anir, who is King of Gwent.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had Magnus, the Roman Emperor, his son Anon, and then his son Ednaved.
Yes.
All from the David pedigree.
Yeah.
That's what the Wikipedia article looked like.
Okay.
So 3 guys from a different country, a later manuscript that added a guy in, which is not reliable.
Yeah.
And then Anir's just slapped in there.
Okay.
So the author seems to be claiming that Annan was an ancestor to these kings of Gwent.
Right.
Through a guy who then doesn't have a recorded son named Anir.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, again, one more time. The apparent genealogy here is Magnus Maximus, the actual emperor, who has son Annan, who has son Ednaved, and then suspiciously added in Dovanwall.
Yeah.
And then Dovanwall has son Anir as king of Gwent. So this is where
no, his Anir is also added.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Okay. Who is also added? Anir.
Anir. Yeah.
Anir. Okay. So, one more time from the top. Magnus has son Annan, has son Ednaved, suspiciously added in son Dovanwall, suspiciously added in son Anir. So, through two very tenuous links.
He's supposedly a king of Gwent.
Yes, okay.
To be fair, I could have left it there, but like, okay, I wanted to know why.
Yeah, you can't give up at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everything else so far had an answer.
Yeah.
So I was like, why is Anir here? And in order to find that, I read through Bartram's notes on all of Dovanwall's actual sons.
Yes.
All 9 of them.
He's a busy guy.
And what's even funnier is that the second to last sentence about the very last son that Bartram listed,
Yes.
Daegir, who I called Danegear in my video because, I don't know, synapses stopped working. There was a simple sentence that just said that a man named Yola Morganug claimed that Dovanwall was a king of Gwent. But a lot of people listening, if you're familiar with my channel or with Welsh history, or even if you went to school in Wales, because he's mentioned sometimes. He wasn't in Powys, but apparently in South Wales.
I was going to say if he was, I don't remember it, but that's not a good gauge of whether or not he was mentioned.
Neither of us had him mentioned, but Yola Morganug, as I described, was one of the most infamous forgers in all of British history.
Right.
He was a very prolific writer. A lot of his stuff's actually really good.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I saw someone say once that if he hadn't become so infamous for the forgeries, he'd probably be remembered as just a very talented writer.
Right, yeah. Is it poetry he did?
Poetry is like the one I can remember. But he forged a bunch of stuff. The worst, in my opinion, was called one of the series of triads.
Yeah.
With these short snippets of Welsh poetry.
Not the Chinese mafia.
No.
Okay, just checking.
But we can see parts that he's added in that disagree with older ones we have.
Yes.
But we also have stuff that's just there that we don't have an older version of. So parts of these are probably genuine things that have been preserved. We cannot tell which parts are real and which parts have been added in. So it's been very irreparably damaged.
Yeah.
If he just made stuff up, it would be no big deal, but he has actively damaged
right, yeah,
aspects of Welsh historiography, theoretically permanently.
What a
He's also a very talented writer.
Don't hurt his feelings.
2 sides of the same coin.
Yeah. When did he die?
Oh, 1800s, I think.
Oh, okay. I think we don't need to feel bad then.
No. But I looked into his collection of manuscripts that was published by his son.
Yes.
Which is when people noticed. A lot of people were like, hang on a minute, none of these are real. He had a fake genealogy. Luckily, we have the older records. A fake genealogy is never replicated in any old text anywhere.
Okay.
That listed Anir, that guy from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Son of Dovanwall, that guy from Wikipedia. The king of Gwent.
Right.
So the authors used this thing. Anir is connected to Dovanwall because of an 1800s hoax.
Yeah.
Dovanwall is connected to Ednaved because of a later addition to a manuscript. Ednaved's connected to Annan the because of the Dyfed pedigree.
Yes. And then Annan the connected to Magnus.
Magnus Maximus because there's another genealogy that has Anthon as his son.
Yes.
So we have people with similar names connected across wonky genealogies that are mostly just created to like claim ancestry from the Romans, along with an 1800s hoax, all combined in 2019 to some massive amalgamation of the weirdest thing I've ever seen on this website.
That is bizarre. It's well because the guy who posted it must have done quite a lot of work to find this stuff in the first place.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And it's odd to find all this stuff without noticing that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I've seen them, some of them still exist, a lot of sort of old websites like blogs and stuff out there that like do have their own, they've written about Welsh history and stuff. I would have guessed that he'd gotten this from there. Someone else had done this work.
Right.
For whatever reason. And he's gotten it from there and that website has been gone for years.
Yeah.
But one person mentioned that one part of it was in some guy's book. I couldn't actually confirm that.
Yeah.
And even then, that was only one small part, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. That was a commenter.
Yeah, I couldn't find it now, though.
I mean, if there's any chance that that person's listening to this, then they could...
If you could provide more detail.
Definitely get in touch and tell us
yes.
what you're talking about. that would be great.
I was hoping someone would comment like, oh yeah, I found it here, but no one's.
Yeah.
The only ones I've gotten are people being snarky, me like, oh, it's this guy linked to a guy with a different name.
This guy, it's Tony, I know, he lives down my road.
No, that's too similar.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's this guy, Alfred.
Alfred. He's also a king. I know that one. Okay, so we're nearly complete here, but not fully. So we got various slip-ups, hoaxes, things leading to all these genealogies, two completely different guys being conflated.
Hundreds of years in the making.
Leading to this Wikipedia article. But then we have the final weird piece of the puzzle saying that he is the king of the Greeks.
Yeah.
And so far, that's not been mentioned in anything.
No, it's not even on the article. The article claims he was born in Greece.
Yeah.
Not sure why they said that, because that's not said anywhere else.
Right. So far, all we have is Bartram's King of the Greeks title.
Yeah. In the genealogies to Brachan, the Brachaniog,
yes.
The very first one I mentioned, he's called King of the Greeks.
Okay.
And yes, that's very strange. But luckily, there was one other place that sort of Anun the appeared. And it happened to be in my, it's where you know how much of a massive nerd I am, my favorite genealogy ever.
I mean, that's why you're perfect for this job. I mean, you can't really ridicule yourself for being interested in the thing you're talking about, to be fair.
Yeah, I've been built for this.
If I asked you questions and you went, no, I don't know about that, would I look like a big nerd?
Yeah, we should start doing that.
Yeah. Every listener question we get, real genuine heartfelt, like, hey, guys, I really enjoyed listening to the podcast. I'm just curious, could you tell me about this guy in this genealogy? No? Dork?
Yeah, what do I look like?
Meet us in person. I'm going to pull up your underwear and I'm going to put you on a flagpole.
Yeah, we would. From the ground. We have very long arms.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I'm reading through all those genealogies, turning the big pages. Okay, yeah, so King of the Greeks. King of the Geeks. That's a good little...
That's what we're going to turn them into if they ask me a question I can't answer.
Yeah.
Not going to do the research and be like...
I look like Rex Geekorus.
That was a good one.
No, it wasn't. See, the worst part is that you laugh quite silently as well, so it just looks like I tell a joke, you go silent, and I laugh at my own joke.
Oh man, I forgot, yeah.
Sorry, I'll just amplify it 1 billion times. Okay, yeah. King of the Greeks. Where did you go for this?
So I went back to Bartram, as you always do.
Oh yeah.
So Bartram mentioned that Anun the appears in one other genealogy, which happened to be my favourite one ever, the 16th entry in the Harleian genealogies.
Yeah.
Wish I had a cooler name, it does not. It's an ancestry for like an unknown sort of line of kings somewhere in Scotland. Some of their names were associated with names up at the very north.
Okay.
So they exist somewhere up there, but what's really interesting is two things. They claim ancestry from a pre-Roman figure.
Pre-Roman?
Like before the Roman conquest.
Oh, I know what pre meant. I was
Oh, I thought you were confused by the phrasing, sorry.
It's honestly a very apt prediction of my intelligence level.
Pre-Rome.
What is... Tell me more about these Romans.
Yeah, Caractacus, famous figure you might have heard of before. And then they also recorded the name of his father and grandfather, the latter of which, I believe, wasn't actually known until we found coins of his name.
Oh, okay.
So it preserved his name for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we confirmed he existed through coins. Like, oh, this is him.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating.
That is
And he also, even stranger, they also claim to be descended from literally every single Roman emperor.
I mean, that's a ballsy claim.
Not always in the correct order, with a couple of random weird Welsh names thrown in there.
Yeah.
And one of those people is not in the correct order. We suddenly come across Anton the.
Right.
In between Valerian and Aurelian.
Okay.
They're just like two Roman emperors. And even stranger for this time, he's also paired with someone else.
Yeah.
These are two ancestors being recorded in one. And those were Anton the and Cleopatra.
Oh, heard of her.
Yes, probably the only, to a person with no knowledge, probably the only thing you will recognize in this. Oh yeah, so he's paired with Cleopatra, which seems to be suggesting that Anton the was Antony, Marcus Antonius.
Right.
Who is Julius Caesar's general and one of the key figures involved in the Civil War after he was assassinated.
Yeah.
It's not actually confirmed for certain. Bartram actually does say that he disagrees, just saying he can't be like certain if this was a later addition, just because it's out of place.
Yeah.
I am in no place to disagree with Peter Bartram, but I do in this instance.
Okay.
Just because it's such a weird place for them to be inserted. If they were to be inserted later, like, oh, it's Antony and Cleopatra.
Yeah.
He suggests to show off knowledge of the Romans.
Right, okay.
That's such a weird place, because that's not where they belong.
That is bizarre.
He sort of more implies that there was an Anton the already there, and then that Cleopatra got added. But also, in that case as well, that would have to explain why he was called King of the Greeks.
Right, yeah.
So I do disagree with Bartram. Fair enough that he says it's not certain, but I disagree personally.
And just to clarify, King of the Greeks because Mark Antony...
Yeah, when the empire was divided after they won the Civil War, he ruled over Greece.
Okay.
So...
Hence Rex Gracorus.
Yeah, Rex Gracorum.
I was so proud. You see how smugly I said that, thinking I got it right.
The suffix is weird. I called him King of Greece
Yeah.
in the video because I didn't realize that the suffix was actually different.
King of the Greek. Okay,
yeah, it's subtly different. See, it seems to be that this supposed Welsh legend that he was born in Greece seems to have evolved from the Brycheiniog genealogies claiming that he was the king of the Greeks.
Yeah.
Which came from, apparently, Marcus Antonius, who was the king of the Greeks.
Yes.
Who also appears in another genealogy spelt Anton D.
Brilliant. So that brings us to a trifecta of Tonys.
A triumvirate.
Ah, Roman word.
And that's what Mark Antony was in.
He was in triumvirate.
The second one, I think.
Oh, that rings a bell. I'm so proud that rings a bell. That's the most my historical knowledge goes, is I can go, oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I think I heard of this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, triumvirate of Tonys. We've got the Anon Ddu, that's Antonius the Black, who is the king of Gwent, Dyfed, Brycheiniog. We've got Anton Ddu, who is supposedly appointed by Magnus Maximus, and then really weird, twisted genealogy saying that he's a king of Gwent.
Yes.
And then finally we have Anton Antony, Mark Antony, who is our third guy, king of the Greeks. And all three of those have been cooked up together to give this fake guy on Wikipedia for 5 years.
5 years. No one spotted it, which is not... You can never blame someone for not spotting something. I just find it crazy.
Yeah.
It's such a long time.
All of these things are basically a mistake that, over 1,000 years?
Yeah, the Hellenic genealogies are from the 800s, so...
Oh, God, yeah.
Genealogy from the 800s, forgery from the 1800s, and a Wikipedia article from 2019.
Yeah, all linked down to... Which is insane. I find that really fascinating that it travels through all those mediums. I don't know, there's something interesting about manuscripts written down, like you said, 800s, and it leads to a mistake being typed up on Wikipedia.
Yes.
So, one final little twist in this tale of ramifications and reverbs and effects is another place this tidbit showed up that we talked about. I remember you telling me about this when you discovered it, because believe it or not, we do occasionally talk without the microphones, if we have to. But yeah, do you want to dive into that?
Yes, one last place. I found it quite a long time after the video came out. There's a channel called Pete Kelly, who's the guy who made a bigger channel called History Time. Like a very big channel, which I really like. I like watching them. And I watched his video on Brycheiniog, and then all of a sudden, at about a little over halfway through, he references, to quote, a Greek named Antonius the Black as the leader of the British tribe known as the Demetae, whose land stretched from Pembrokeshire to Brecon.
He can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Anon Ddu from the Wikipedia page. Like, leader of Dyfed, because he's not in the genealogy.
Yeah.
Stretching from there to Brecon. He is in the Brecon genealogy, but he's not mentioned in any other sources. I'm pretty sure it's from this page, which is really interesting. He must have just assumed to sort of come across and be like, oh, that's interesting, I'll include him.
Yeah, because you would, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is if you read about it, it's interesting, but if you don't have the knowledge that, like, he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important to kind of, like, correct these articles.
Of course it is, yeah.
Yeah, not like a criticism of he probably just stumbled across it, thought it was interesting, didn't know that it wasn't real, because why would you wouldn't assume.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, obviously fact-checking is important, but there's an extent to...
And you can't, if it's on that page, if it doesn't have a citation, maybe you shouldn't, you shouldn't use as general rule of thumb, but you're never going to read a Wikipedia article and just assume that this guy flat out just does not exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very interesting. It's the only place I've seen him outside of this article is here.
I have to keep an eye out.
Yes.
I mean, if you listen to this, see if you can spot Anon Ddu popping up anywhere.
Have you ever seen a video or like a post or anything about Wales?
Yeah.
Mentions Anon Ddu, let me know, let us know.
Yeah, or Antonius the Black.
Antonius the Black, yeah.
Grey Tony, possibly.
Grey Tony.
To translate into that. So you have been excited to talk to me about something related to this that wasn't in the video, because had it happened at that point?
It had. I just didn't know you could see it.
Okay. So what happened to our mystery man, our person X, who committed this fallacy?
Yes. Well, I never wanted to show his account. It is publicly available, but it's not an actual username. It's an IP address, because that's how Wikipedia works.
Oh, wow.
You can't see anyone's address. It just tells you general location.
Yeah.
But that's why I wasn't comfortable with showing it.
You're on docs. Yeah.
I can't stop people from going and finding it, but
obviously we don't encourage that.
No, you couldn't do anything with it anyways. It's a very vague location.
Yeah.
Also, this was years ago. What I'd found, what someone had commented and mentioned to me, is that this guy actually kind of had a history of making sort of very unsubstantiated edits.
Oh, right.
All of them seem pretty small, and people would like complain to him. And if you go onto the talk page, again, I keep saying him. I don't. To be fair, I do not know but they keep complaining to them about making edits with no sources. Like here, there's a page saying, "Hi, I appreciate the work you're doing. Unfortunately, a lot of the material has no sources. Please do not change or add content without adding a reliable source."
Yeah.
Another one saying, please do not add or change content without adding a reliable source.
The Big Brother thing with a huge face on the screen. Please do not add unreliable content.
There's another one right here. Your edits on Welsh history. Please stop adding information without a reliable source. Stop placing references before punctuation. Okay. I feel like one of those is more important than the other. Stop adding information not directly related to the subject. Wikipedia is not a history textbook, novel, or soap opera. Tone and balance are important.
Oh my god, the shade
killed him. He went in on it.
I love the progression as well. They're like, please stop. Please.
Yeah.
This is nice, but please.
To be fair, he's valid.
Yeah.
I think he was a good moment, I think, to be fair.
That's a fire delivery.
And then he said, please check to see whether your references are available online. Pro tip, please don't do this for Welsh history.
Yeah.
The online stuff's not the best. It's posed a lot of problems. Like, if you ever seen my video on Cadwallader's Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, big issue. Please leave an edit summary and please use the preview button to check your edit for grammar, punctuation, and spelling.
King Geek over here.
I mean, dude, again, I think he's a valid.
No, 100%, yeah.
And he's done it again. He said it here. He's like, hello, I'm the same user. I noticed you added or changed the content. You didn't provide a reliable source. It's been removed.
Is this person responding?
No, but he will soon.
Oh.
He did again. He added or changed content for Owen Glendower, which I wonder what he changed. That might be an interesting future video, knowing the track record.
Yeah. Owen Glendower, King of the Great.
Yeah. Where then there's a big warning triangle. Says, please stop your disruptive editing.
Oh my god.
This guy's too strong for me. He's powerful.
Yeah.
And then, shock, well, the guy commented to tell me, February 2019, the guy who added this article was blocked from editing.
Oh my god. I'm surprised it took that long, to be honest.
It did take a while. He's quite niche, to be fair. But
yeah.
Oh, and then he requested to be unblocked, and they said this. It says disruptive edits. The only claim of disruption comes from this user I was mentioning previously, saying like, the power move guy, I want to call him.
Yeah.
Point out below with evidence that his claim of disruption is completely unjustified. My edits are constructive and useful, and it is his opposition to them that are therefore disruptive.
Oh my god.
I don't see how my statements below and the linked evidence could have been read fully within the few seconds between me posting it and the below response.
This is like a legal drama.
Yeah.
I want to see a movie where they're played by like, I don't know, I think the guy chasing them down should be played by like Liam Neeson, maybe? Or no, Idris Elba.
The guy who's telling him
Elba.
not to edit the article should be Liam Neeson. He's got that energy for me.
Yeah, or Idris Elba, maybe like a Luther type.
Do not edit the article.
Listen, mate, this isn't a soap opera. And then you gotta have...
I really love that line.
Yeah.
He's right, it's not a soap opera, but that's such a powerful delivery.
It's brilliant. And then you've got, who should play Person X?
Someone mischievous.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh, that's the Hamilton guy.
Don't know who that is. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with celebrities.
To be fair, guessing what this demographic are like, there will be people listening to this who will think that's very, very funny. I would hope so.
I'll take your word. Would you like to know what happened next?
Yes.
After his appeal to be unblocked, it was declined because it just said duplicate request. So, okay, bit of a lame reason.
Yeah.
After all that, just like, oh, sorry, you sent this twice.
Yeah.
But the next one is better. So, this user who added an and the came back again to dispute his 1 month block again. The claim of disruption is by an user who seems to think that he owns articles on Whale.
I can hear the rage in them typing. Because that's not a typo because they don't know whether to use A or N. That's a typo because they were slamming their fingers on an utter rage.
And wait till you get to the quote-unquote disruptive comments.
Oh.
He seems to think he owns articles on whales and views any substantial edit not made by him or his mates as disruptive. In his own words, I makes large, impulsive and detailed changes to articles on Welsh places. His claim that they are impulsive makes clear his issue, that they haven't been planned in a way that involves him. Those changes are, by the way, all referenced. That's not strictly always true, as we've seen with this episode today.
You want the truth? I'll give you the truth.
And then his final unblock request, it says disruptive edits. The only claim is from this same user, the same power guy who said not to do this, which again, as we've seen. His claim of disruption is completely unjustified. My edits are constructive and useful, and it's his opposition to them that are therefore disruptive. Decline reason. I might have been blocked for this uncivil comment by itself. Examining your edits, you seem to have a battleground mentality and not the collaborative and civil attitude needed to work on this collective project. Destroyed. Also, would you like to hear the uncivil comment?
Yes, I would.
It's difficult to see because they don't say who said what, so I'm guessing they said this.
Yeah.
To the same user who told them not to do these edits. Your self-important vandalism has got to stop. How dare anyone touch your precious articles? How dare blatantly factually incorrect and unreferenced statements be changed into factually correct and referenced material.
Oh.
Again, that did not happen with Alan D.
This guy's been to the school of sarcasm.
Went to the school of hard knocks.
Oh, yeah.
How dare anyone include context rather than have a series of disconnected bullet points? How dare anyone include a link to an unwritten article that might encourage someone to write a new one? Heaven forfend the idea that the people who created the site in the first place invented the concept of red links for that very purpose. One blank line? Seriously? Get over yourself.
What a delivery. I'm picturing this guy as like a home. There's like kids. The mom's like in the kitchen. She's like, honey, can you please come help with dinner? The kids are working really hard right now. And he just pulls up not now, honey. I'm fighting an uncivil war on Wikipedia.com.
I gotta fight back against my 1 month block request.
Yeah. My edits are large, they're impulsive, and they're not going to stop.
And that was it. He didn't make any more edits as far as I could see after that.
Disappeared.
So I'm not sure what they're up to now.
Well, if there's any chance you're listening, please do get in touch.
I would unironically love you to reach out.
I would really love to, because I want to know what's going on.
Even if you were like angry that I covered this thing.
Yeah.
And we covered this now, I'd still be really curious to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. I'd love for you to reach out, but we don't want anyone to come find you.
No, please don't bother.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's basically the conclusion of this whole tale, isn't it?
Yeah, that was basically it.
I think this has been a really fascinating first episode. We're going to talk about lots of things, and won't all be historiography type things. We're to cover actual historical topics, but I find this kind of thing really interesting. The ramifications, the way it spreads, like the fact that these little battles and rivalries over edits are just one chain in this link going back over millennia.
Yes, over 1,000 years in the making. Makes you feel very small.
It does for me a bit, yeah.
And to talk about the good side, because I always try to say, well, I will say now, thanks to the editors who've gone through and edited the list of rulers in Wales article.
Yeah, especially because it's a pretty thankless job, really.
It is, very much so. And yeah, I feel like they don't get enough credit, because you need appreciation to actually go through and like care and work to make it better when it's pointed out that it wasn't.
Thank you very much to you guys. I'd say we see you, but we don't because it's an audio medium.
Yes.
And it'd be really odd if we were looking at you right now. So a lot of twists and turns in this. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult to follow.
Yeah, hopefully not.
But yeah, those are all the pieces of the jigsaw all laid out and all put together.
Yeah. A genealogy from the 800s, a hoax from the 1800s, and a Wikipedia article from 2019.
The triumvirate. All right, so welcome to what will become the regular section of the show where we answer listener questions. These ones have been submitted in advance via a poll you set up, Cam, on your channel, which is very kind of you, very generous, very philanthropic.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, this is actually our second time recording this, because the first time ran for nearly half an hour, and I decided it was unlistenable because I was so incredibly tired when we were recording it that listening back, I genuinely sound quite drunk. And I hadn't touched a drop that night, as far as I'm aware. Don't raise an eyebrow at me. I was teetotal that night.
Oh, you were driving. You're always drunk when you drive.
Yeah, that's true. I do like to booze cruise. Anyhow, it wasn't good to listen to. So, hopefully this is a little better. We got a list of questions filtered down here that were sent in. We only got time for a couple this time, but we've got so many, these could easily show up in future episodes, I think. Or if we ever do like a full Q&A one at any point. Anyway, our first question, Cat's TM or Cat's trademarked, which
TM is it?
What do you mean?
Bullet Seed. That's the first one you get in Pokemon Emerald.
I don't know about Pokemon. I'm not a nerd. I only like cool things like
Doctor Who, Warrior Cats.
Anyway,
Is that sweating?
Cat's TM, Cat's trademarked, says, how well has Wikipedia done in amending the things you've pointed out?
Yes, that's a really good question, because they did really, really amazingly. Like, the whole thing has been completely revamped. There's like actual sources. I'm scrolling through it right now. There's a bunch of citations. There's like over 100 citations. There's actual sources.
Fantastic. I'm looking at the old page for comparison.
It's mostly just a list name still, but I think that fits. It's literally a list of rulers in Wales.
Yeah.
And it's just the list of various ones we have. Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. There's always definitely could be, like there's a few that are kind of short, like the list of rulers of Glowsing. I can see there's like only a few on there. But like I have zero complaints.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've done really well. There's been a huge effort by not even that many editors. That people really came together, and it's really nice because I wasn't expecting that so soon. The last time I did a video mentioning Wikipedia was my Prince of Wales video, and that article got corrected like months later.
Right, yeah.
And then it was the article got like in like the talk page. That guy said that there was just a random video on social media.
Yes. So on the talk page for this article, there's various people, as I'm learning is common with most Wikipedia, lots of different arguments going on about things. Yeah. But yeah, there's a little argument about your video. Various bits going on, but I'll just take two quotes from it. If a self-styled let me think of a silly voice to it. All right.
If a self-styled historian wants to make changes or improvements to this article, surely they should come here to discuss it. At the moment, this is just a random video on social media.
And then...
really old woman from New Jersey.
Exactly. And then Hero coming in with a response. Also, it isn't though anyone who has ever been subjected to the task of doing this sort of research cannot recognize that the form of his criticisms is perfectly valid. The implication which he does not make, which seems pretty obvious to me, is that these look like primary source lists of rulers which have simply been copied in, via whatever intermediaries with whatever mistakes and fanciful accretions along the way, without any kind of historical assessment. Dismissing it as just a random video, which it isn't in any case, simply reinforces the appearance that Wikipedia editors prefer to ignore outside criticism, which is great. But I feel like that sums it up very well.
Yeah, at least...
especially what the page used to look like. Fantastic series of changes, as you said.
Yeah, I think it sums up the issue. I'm not like offended. This is kind of funny, and I think they're right. It really does kind of exemplify the problem. Where I made a pretty basic point is that this guy on this article is literally made up and it stood for 5 years.
It's literally not real, yeah.
If you want to go to the talk page and be like, hey, this guy doesn't exist, we should edit him out. It's pretty pointless where you could just edit him out.
Yeah.
And in a real sense, what I felt like, even if you did try to edit him out, people could just add him back in.
Right.
So that was my goal, is to educate people on that issue and on multiple issues with Wales.
Is there anything else you want to cover on the changes?
I think that answers the question. Just the article's been massively improved by only a few people.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with it because that's always like the goal, to like be able to teach enough people about a topic that they can go and correct it. Because if it relies on community moderation and the community doesn't exist, then it's never going to get done.
Plus, like the vast majority of your audience and of our audience are not Wikipedia editors. So I think it's kind of reductive to boil it down to, why don't you just silently come and change it and talk, have an argument on the Wikipedia talk page? Because that's not the point. The point is to talk to lots of people. The average people are public who, aren't involved in Wikipedia talk pages.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like, if they probably have written parts of the article and like upset that perhaps most of it isn't very good.
Yeah.
But that's like the whole point. Like, if you'd rather just go to the talk page so you can ignore it, then of course that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. The Prince of Parthia asks, why was he called King of Greece? Obviously partly because of how the triumvirate split territory. But do you think it has anything to do with post-Trojan origin stories mixing with this one? Brackets, Aeneas for the Romans, Brutus for the British Isles, brackets again, according to some accounts. That's a lot. You're going to have to clarify that for me.
So what they're referring to is, quite a bit later on, a guy called Geoffrey of Monmouth made up this whole sort of story to connect the history of Britain to the Aeneid and Aeneas by taking a guy called Brutus, who was known in Welsh stories as like this Roman consul that the island was named after, and turning him into just like a son of Aeneas or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think I have heard, but yeah.
And it was a common like trope to just sort of associate your country with like a cool, prestigious ancestor, in this case Rome, in the sense that Aeneid is also the same exact type of story, associating Rome with Troy. And a lot of people make the mistake that that's an old story, and it really isn't.
Right.
By the time that Anne and Thee and these genealogies were composed, Brutus was just a Roman consul that the island of Britain was named after.
Okay.
Nothing to do with any sort of Trojans.
Right, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, interesting question, Prince Parthia. Josh P. 5936. This is directed mostly at you. What was your most interesting or surprising fact you found out? Did you enjoy the searching?
I definitely enjoyed the searching. It was very difficult, as I mentioned, to find that connection with Gwent, as you've just heard. That took a long time. That video probably could have been done like a week sooner. My favourite twist was the connection to Anthony, and I think that's probably the most popular one. I get comments about that still to this day.
Yeah, Mark Antony.
Yeah, saying how much they liked finding out about that connection, and I really did too. It's such an interesting, weird little tidbit.
It really is. I think it's the most exciting one to me, at least, because it's the first time a big recognizable figure shows up.
Yeah.
Like, compared to all the other, it's like suddenly I don't know, Tom Hanks entered the story or something. Like, it's
It is.
bizarre.
And I don't get that chance a lot talking about whales. It basically never ever happens.
Right. So that's all the questions we had time for this time. That was superfluous use of the word time, possibly, but we ball. But if you'd like to leave questions or comments down below, that would be brilliant. That would be great. Ideally, Welsh history focused, and even better, around our next topic, which is King Arthur, specifically very, very early King Arthur.
The earliest.
The earliest, yes. Of which there is some debate about, or not debate, but some misunderstanding about. Anyway.
Well, there's debate too.
Oh, okay. All right. What is this, Correction City?
That's the whole theme of Ananthi.
Yeah, sure. God, I've become just like... Anyway, if you could leave some questions down below about King Arthur's, stuff you're interested in, stuff you're curious about, or, you know, other Welsh history things you'd like me or Cam to answer. I mean, obviously, Cam's going to be providing the answers to most of the history ones.
If it's not a history one,
yeah, that's what I'm for.
shoot it right at you.
Anything stupid? That's what I'm here for.
Anything for idiots.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
But yeah, that's the end of the question section. And now it's back to the regular episode. Right, well, that's pretty much it, folks. Should we each plug our own things? I mean, we plugged yours throughout, which is fair enough because it's...
Yes, my bad. Sorry for that.
That's all right. I mean...
Very self.
I have felt incredibly insecure the entire time.
Yeah.
But
keep flexing on you.
I know.
I just 7 subscribers because they're all going to unsubscribe after we...
Yeah, mass unsubscribe. If you're listening to this, mass unsubscribe from Cambrian Chronicles.
Wait.
But yes, okay, so go ahead and say channel, Cambrian Chronicles.
Yes. If you hate listening to us together, you can try listening to us separately. I have my channel, Cambrian Chronicles, on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it'll be right there. Or if on Spotify, you just have to go on the internet.
I'll drop a link in the
Thank you.
bio.
And then you can check out Pat over at Never Is Funny Podcast.
Yeah, I do a podcast called Never Is Funny. Talked about it already. Quite different to this, but by the time this is out, there will be 2 episodes with my friend Cam up over there. One from over a year ago, which was a lot of fun. Back when you had, I hesitate to say only, you could still a lot, but 30,000 subscribers in comparison to 123. And we haven't recorded it yet, so I can't really talk about what's in it. But hopefully another great one.
It's crazy. You won't believe.
Oh, you won't believe it.
It's bizarre. It's
he is
honestly,
really, really funny in it. Like, he made me cry with laughter every other sentence.
And then actually, I got really afraid as well while listening to it. It gave me sort of deep primal fear.
It did, actually, yeah. I started seeing just kind of shadows appearing just everywhere around me, even though it was like really lit up room.
Yeah, and it was.
But yeah, that was a great one. So you guys should go check that out.
Go say thank you for listening.
I guess.
I hope it wasn't too confusing.
No, me as well.
I'm used to. When we first recorded our drafts, I kept being like, if you look here, you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Forgetting that. Actually, unless you're watching this on YouTube, where you will be able to see a very not as good actual editing.
Look,
as I
right now,
do.
Cam has drawn an MS Paint.
Yeah.
He's drawn the Welsh dragon.
Yeah.
Holding a balalaika.
A what?
A balalaika.
Is that their food, like the cake?
Nope. He's holding a balalaika. You know it. You drew it. He's holding a balalaika.
Is that actually?
It's a balalaika.
Yeah.
It's not food. It's not food.
It's not food.
No. Balalaika.
Yeah. Yeah, as you look, even if you're on Spotify, sending psychic
Why
waves
did you just add human eyes to that? Why'd you do that? That's horrible.
Who's that in the background?
That's in the background.
Why does he look like me?